Oh,
let's go.
Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Spell Boxing. Finally, lads, we got here.
We got there.
Slightly late tonight, unfortunately. A few technical difficulties. I'm sure the world was a much better place, lads, when we had tin cans and a bit of string.
Oh,
to
definitely.
Communicate. Do you remember them days? Before
That's
mobile
it.
phones and all that malarkey. Anyway, bit slightly different live tonight because we're joined by the Promise. Perry Howe. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Are you?
Yeah, really good, pal. Really good. So we're going to, like I say, slightly different live tonight. Joined, as always, by Daz as well. How are you, pal?
All right, mate. You?
Yeah, really good. Really good. So we've got Perry on the show. We're going to talk all things boxing. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about what Perry's been doing in and out of the ring and what's coming forward. So a little bit of background. Perry's a pro fighter. Fights at the Riley's Gym in Sheffield, which is the gym that Daz trains at, under the tutelage of Daz, Rob, and Gary. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong, Perry, 13 fights, 5-7-1. Is that about right?
It sounds right. I think it should be more 7-5-1.
But I'm going to put a little bit of an asterisk against that 7 because there's a number of fights in there, mate, that you should have got better results in. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, I reckon so. I'd say that's a fair comment, yeah.
Right. And we did an interview not long about this on the channel, didn't we? About your fight with Billy Dazin.
That's it.
And the aftermath and everything that went on there. So let's talk about your most recent fight, which was last weekend.
Yeah.
Against Sonny Taylor.
Yeah.
You come out of that fight with a loss, but I mean, Daz was there. He was in your corner, so he can talk a little bit better about what went off. But my understanding is that the referee, Andy Brook, scored the fight 8-0 to Sonny Taylor, and I don't believe that was an accurate recording of the fight, was it?
In my opinion, obviously, I thought I'd done enough. And the reason I thought I'd done enough as well is, as the fight was going on, Rob and Daz were guiding me through it. And when we finally went into the 8th round, we looked over in the corner. They were panicking. They thought I'd got it. They were telling their lad he were going to have to knock me out to get that win. And we were the opposite end of the camp. We were like, we've done enough. We'll get through round, and we'll hopefully get my hand up at the end. When it actually come, and I went back to the corner, I did say to Rob and Daz, I says, I'll be happy with a draw. I says, knowing what I know, I says, I'll be happy if both hands go up. And I'll be honest with you, knowing what I know, I even thought maybe a round in it, they'd swing it his way, and I'd have gone with, yeah, fair one. But for an 80-72 washout, don't think that did me justice from what I did, to be fair. Now, what I will give Andy Brook credit for as the fight goes along is, unlike the Billy Dennis one, at least we got to be able to do this boxing. We completed the rounds. It weren't always pretty. Me and Sonny both had a bit of time where we were giving each other a few hugs. Not as bad as your KSIs and that, but obviously part of the sport's getting on in the inside, having a tear up there. Andy did let the boxing flow, which I was obviously grateful for, because that's what I want to do. I want to get my boxing off. But I'm obviously going to say that I wasn't convinced with the 80-72 score. I would have seen it a bit different. I tried to watch them back as take the bias out of it. Obviously, I'm going to always say I've won. I'm the fighter. I want to win. But knowing what I know and stuff, I would have been happy with a draw. But it's just part of the game. The facts are, no disrespect to Sonny Taylor, credit where credit's due, top bloke. Unlike Oldham events. I can't really fault Sonnet or his supporters or anything. He's top lad. He's just had a baby. He's got a lot going on in his personal life. He's turned up to go to work. I think the only criticism I've got of Sonny Taylor, really, and I think he'll tell you this himself, is he didn't turn up, and I think he probably underestimated me. So when you've got to 9-0 and no one's really thrown a punch back at you, it don't matter how much sparring you've done. It doesn't matter what you've done. You've not been in what I'd call a competitive fight. So getting lads up to 7, 8, 9-0, I think it gives them a false sense of security. And obviously, I've given him a big test on Saturday, and I'd be curious to see where he goes from here anyway. So I'd like to see him do well. Obviously, I want to see everyone do well, but I'd also be curious to see what his next move is, because I think maybe having the wake up call he needed, he might pump it up at next time around. You know what I mean? So there's lessons to be learned all round. I feel like that's what I'm doing at the minute. Like, my last 5 fights have been against undefeated opponents, alleged prospects, and what I'm learning is I'm having some of my better performances, even though I'm not getting the results I should have been getting. So it's
we'll come on to being in the away corner, Perry, in a second. I just want to get Daz's opinion on the fight, because knowing Daz now for a while, and the way Daz has been on our show for a while, I know he always calls it down the line. He always calls it straight, even if he's working in the corner. I mean, I was at a show. I won't name which fighter it was, but I was at a show where Daz was working in the corner, and it was the first time I met Daz. I thought his fighter had won, and Daz says no, he lost. And I was a little bit taken aback by that. But that tells me a lot about what Daz is as a trainer and as a person. He calls it down the line. So, that being said, Daz, how did you see that fight at the weekend?
I had Perry winning, mate. Listen, our corner was from first round. It was like he did everything what we'd been, Listen, I'll be honest with you. The majority of the camp of Perry's camps are run by Gary and Rob. I'm your third man. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I have my little bit of input if I think I see something, but credit's got to be given to Gary and Rob as well.
Yeah, absolutely,
massively. I'm just, it depends which fight is in. For Perry, I'm usually Stallman, and then obviously with Nick, I'm lead. But listen, we all work great as a team. We all have little bits of input. We all work great as a team. Yeah, I mean, went back. I'd watched a bit of Sonny Taylor that day, and I just thought that it was wide open to, if he got touched with jab for right hand, whether that be to body or to head. So
first 3 shots were right ups to body.
Yeah. So basically, me and Perry went back. I had him on pads, and as soon as fight started, Perry landed to body, and we're landing to head. All the way through it, it was just like there were one spot where Perry got caught with a shot, and he was on ropes, but he was on ropes ducking and diving. But Andy Brook looked a bit keen to want to jump in. Right. You see, I notice things like this. So when Perry come back to the corner, Rob said what he needed to say, and I says, "Listen, don't sit on them ropes. Do not give him an excuse to step in." And from then on, because I mean, you were never hit, but it's like, but Perry will tell you himself. He just went, "Yeah, fair enough." So he were always busy and firing back.
Yeah.
Mate, I'll be honest with you, and Rob will tell you this next time you speak to him. We're stood in ring, and the court scores are, and I straight away turned to Rob and said, "I cannot believe they've given Sonny Taylor every round." And obviously they had, but I had him. I mean, like you said, you know me, I call it that middle. If I think you've lost, I think you've lost. I don't think Perry lost that fight. I watched it back, and I had it 5-3. I watched it again, and I thought I'm going to be more generous to Sonny. Make sure I'm more generous. So I had it a draw, and then I sort of said, right, I tell you what, I'll be overly generous to Sonny. I'll watch it again. I'll be overly generous. I'll be proper overly generous and proper harsh on Perry. And that, even as a struggle to do that, I had Sonny winning 5-3. But I had to look for things that probably weren't even there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? So I went back to it again. I went back to it again and watched it. And my opinion is Perry won that fight 5-3, or it could have been a draw at worst. Because Perry will tell you himself, when he come back to corner at end of fight, he went, "Oh, I'll be happy with a draw." I tell him to basically shut up. I says, "You're never draw at all. You've won that fight."
Yeah.
And I never. And thing is, with me in corner, I'm usually quiet in corner. I even when I'm lead trainer, give me instructions in that 20, 30 seconds, and that's it. But I was getting vocal in the corner as well with Rob because I knew how well he were doing, and I didn't want him to undo it by standing and trading with Sonny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it shows that I knew we had something, all this good work you were doing, we had to protect it by being sensible and not greedy with shots. And let's not forget, Perry was giving away nearly £11 in weight.
Yeah. Well, we get a lot away, didn't we? I think when the fight got announced a month ago, we only found out we boxed Jack Bannister, and we got the double confirmation the day after that Sonny Taylor had agreed. I asked for tickets straight away. I wanted to sell 150 tickets for the venue. They weren't having none of it. I were the away fighter. I'm not having any tickets. I went, fair enough. They did say that they'd all sold out. They'd give them out to the fighters. So it's fair enough. Turns upon the night, Daz. How many empty seats were there?
A lot
of empty seats. And I was joking. I was looking, going, even on the day of the fight, I had people asking me if they could come to Hull, and I was saying, I think the tickets have sold out. I think, I'm sorry, guys, you'll have to watch it on the live stream. It is what it is. But the thing is, I understand this. I've done the home fighting myself. Nobody cares about the villain. The home fighter's the hero. That's it. I'm there to do a job. I'm there to do a job. I enjoy my job. I'm enjoying it a lot at the minute. There's no pressure on me. I'm feeling fit. I'm feeling strong. I go out once a week if I can, and I'll test all these lads. And the thing is, I'm doing something that I believe a lot of the cruiserweight division aren't willing to do, and that's put it out there. And they're not. I'm not handpicking the fights. I'm taking them as they come. I just like a bit more fair whip at the crack. I wish there was a bit more. Come on, I'm getting sick of hearing, I've had a bad night, that's why Perry looked good. Why can't they just turn around and say, oh, actually, he's an experienced kid. He's coming on. I'm learning as I go. There's no pressure on me. I'm enjoying my boxing. I'm enjoying my training. I'm enjoying family life. And everything's clicking at the minute. And the more active I am, the better I'm becoming. And I'm enjoying it even more. So,
do you know what makes me laugh, mate, as well? Is it's like you've got all these people who are, we'll fight this, we'll fight that. And listen, Perry's called him. Tommy Fury for one. Listen, you want a real fight? Come on. Yeah. Me and Perry's had this conversation. I've told Perry, I says, I won't bother with Tommy. I'd get, I'd try and get him with what seems the proper one. Roman Fury.
Well, I'm keeping my eyes on that Brighton card, weren't I, Daz? Because like I was saying to you, David, Roman Fury sat there. He's had two of my opponents. Both of us have beat him. That's a fight. And to be fair, I think Roman is probably going down more the conventional route at now. And I'm hoping, I hope he does that for his own credibility and he does it the right way. But before he goes off and gets them big payday fights off the back of the Tyson name, why don't he just work his way there? Come to the gatekeeper. I'm here. Do you know what I mean?
Perry, we're going to talk about that Brighton card shortly. I want to focus a little bit more on you first.
Yeah, no worry.
Daz will tell you I'm a massive advocate for small or boxing. I prefer going as a channel, mate. I prefer going to small all shows than I do the big shows for the big three promoters, and that's because the fighters on small all shows really appreciate the interviews.
Yeah.
And you end up building a bit of a reputation, like I've done with you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you get a bit of a relationship going, and it kind of paves the way going forward. So I love the small old shows. But that being said, I've been to a lot of small old shows where I've seen what you've described, which is basically the home fighter has had an absolute nightmare of a night. The away fighter has been much more difficult than the home fighter thought it was going to be. And the home fighters end up getting a decision that he shouldn't have got. It's all politics at the end of the day, as far as I see. And this is me talking now. This is not you talking or Dad's talking. This is my opinion. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And you deserve a better crack. And so do a lot of other fighters that come into the away corner. I'm not going to use the word journeyman because you're not a journeyman.
No, and I've never said I was. Like, I'm not at that stage.
There are guys out there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Perry. There are guys out there with 50, 100 fights on their record that are quite happy to be that away fighter. They're quite happy to give the rounds. They're quite happy to be the next person on that up and coming fighter's record. You're not that fighter. You're not that
and
fighter.
I've never said I was going to be. I've never lied to the promoters. I've never lied to anyone. I'm telling them I'm coming to have a go.
and unfortunately, you've done that, and you've still ended up on the end of what I consider bad decisions.
Yeah.
So up to this year. So far this year, mate, you've had 5 fights. It looks like you've got another one penciled in. I'm looking at BoxRec now, so this might not be right. So you tell me if I'm wrong here. Looks like you got another one penciled in for the 25th of this month.
Got one before that. I've got one on 18th.
Got one at 18th and 25th.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So BoxRec. So tell me a little bit about that, because BoxRec's not got that written down.
Yeah. Well, obviously, for whatever reason, that the fight's not been uploaded onto BoxRec yet. BoxRec isn't always that accurate. These fights that come up there that I find out my name's on there, and I'm going, we haven't even agreed to that. So I sometimes I don't know where they get the information from, or there'll be do you want to fight this? And before we've even agreed, your name's there. And then there's other fights that we definitely know is nailed on, and for some reason they're not there. So from what I believe at the minute, I've got the 18th of November in down in Wolverhampton.
Who's that?
Trey Debray, is it, Daz?
Trey Dubray, I think.
He's only had one, but he's had a knockout, and I think he's got amateur pedigree.
Okay.
So we'll go see what he's about. And then obviously the week after, I think we've got Nick Parper, 10-1, yeah. Which I'm a bit annoyed taking Nick Parper because he's ruining my undefeated status. Have you seen the last 5 fights? They've all had a 0 in the loss.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
So I'm giving Nick Parper a bit of credibility. Oh, he's had 1 loss. Come on then, we'll give him a chance. Do you know what I mean?
So let me talk a little bit about mentality and how you look at fighting going forward. Because, like I say, you've had 5 fights this year so far. Them 2 fights will make it 7. That's some going. How do you keep positive, thinking you've got the opportunity to win a fight when you're getting, again, my words, shafted on cards?
Well, do you know what it is now, regardless of the results, I feel like I'm winning anyway. Like Dad knows the life I've come from, and I shouldn't even be here. The fact I've talked about this before, I struggled with my mental health. I've had a lot of stuff going on. Now, with or without boxing, for me to even be here, I'm just grateful. And since I was 10 years old and I walked in Brendan Ingles' gym, I wanted to be a pro boxer, and it always got put on the back burner with life and my time in the forces and all this and work and trying to provide for families and stuff. and I finally done it. Now I can sit in that pub when I'm old man and say I did it. I've had a go. So I learned on the job. I've not turned pro till 29. I didn't realise how popular I'd be with my friends, and they've actually do support me loads. The Promise Army are phenomenal. But with that such great fan base on the small old shows has come a responsibility as well. And I'm not willing to prop any Sheffield show up with a bin man in front of me who's got 100 losses on his record, and they want me to just tick over a win and take the ticket money off my fans. My fans, if they want me to fight in Sheffield, I want a 50-50 fight, somewhat on the line, a fair crack at the whip, and a decent purse and a decent night out for my fans. Now, records are for DJs. I think once you get to 4 and 5 on your records, there should be no such thing as taking a padded record. You shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
It's whatever stage of your career you're at. This is the main problem with the sport at the minute, and this is why it's becoming a bit of a circus, giving chance for these YouTubers to take over and all this, because it's not about the sport anymore. And I'd love it. Obviously, I know the business side, and when it comes to the business side and I have to sell tickets, I've got 250 supporters that are willing to do that for me. But the only reason they're willing to do that is because I'm honest and sincere about my intentions. Now, like I say, with Sonny Taylor next, where does Sonny Taylor go next? What does he sell to his fans up in Hull next time round? He needs a credible 50-50 fight. So he's got to push that forward now. He can't be taking another 100 lost journeyman now. He's stepped up now. So This is where the pressure comes now, because every time they're going out, they're risking their undefeated record. The stocks will go down. And it's sad. It's sad. I blame the promoters, but I also blame the casual fans. End of the day, you look at a record. If you're just a casual fan and you see someone's 10 and undefeated, and you believe that to be genuine, go and have a look on their records of who they've fought. That's all you have to say. And then look at someone's record like mine. Look at my last 5 fights. That's all you've got to say. Now, to me, I know what I'm doing is genuine. And I'm enjoying it, and I'm having fun along the way, and I'm looking after my family. So I can put my head up high and know what I'm doing is right. I'm enjoying it. The day I'm not enjoying it, it's the day I'd hang the gloves up and say, I've had enough. Do you know what I mean? So at the minute, it's just a case of, it's not about the result for me. It's just about the achievement of just being there anyway. So I went a long way about that, but that's about the answer for that one, Andy.
I'll tell you a little story as well. Perry's not just, he's not getting the decisions, fair dues, but he's winning in life to where he's come from. I mean, we've had little chats, haven't we, Pez, about this out of but what thing is, I was actually opposite corner on Perry's pro debut.
Yeah. Rob were as well, weren't he?
Yeah, Rob were, yeah. Rob was. And was in opposite corner. And I remember walked out with, I was cornering a kid called Nathan Jr. And walked out, and there were like hundreds on him, hundreds at Promise Army. I even got a little bit of, you're going to get hammered and all this, I'm like, fucking hell. So, excuse my French. Got in ring. Perry comes out. I believe he come out to "This Is How We Do It" by Montel Jordan, I think.
That's it. This is how we do it. And I didn't do it, did I? I froze.
Right. So he gets in ring. He was trained, obviously trained by one of my old gym mates. Gets in ring. I thought, we've got some support, this kid. And anyway, it started. I don't think Perry threw a punch.
No.
And Nathan's an handful when he wants to, and he come back and end at first. I says, listen, he ain't thrown a punch. Get on him. I ended a draw, didn't it?
Yeah. Which knowing what I know now means it probably could have gone his way. So Andy Brook did bail me out there. So I guess it's favourable favour, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is what it is. And then it was like, I mean, Perry will admit that weren't his best. Do you know what I mean? You looked raw, didn't you?
Yeah.
But obviously, he then made the decision. He went to Rob and Gary. And I tell you what, mate, listen, I think world of Rob and Gary anyway. Obviously, we're all a team. But I tell you what, they've turned this kid, along with him as well, putting his heart and soul into it. They've turned him into someone. If you're having a bad night, or even if you're not, he will give you absolute nightmares and he'll give you his all. You know what I mean? And that's something to be proud of, not just for Perry, but for Rob and Gary as well. Do you know what I mean? I've come in part way through Perry's career, and obviously there's going to be, hopefully we're going to have a lot more nights like we had the other day. But
a few more Burger Kings, Daz.
Yeah. It's massive credit to Rob and Gary and Perry, because without Perry, putting his heart into it, what Rob and Gary do wouldn't have worked, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? And I tell you, if you turn up wanting to fight Perry Howe and you think you're gonna have an easy night, think again.
You know what I find really refreshing, Perry, is that you're not prepared to sell tickets to your fight fans unless you've got a 50-50 fight. Fight fans are actually getting value for money for.
I'd rather lose 10. I'd rather lose 10 50-50 fights and know that my fans have seen a 50-50 fight. To me, I couldn't think of no worse than an ego-inflated record, and then basically begging money off my pals to come and watch me to pay some journeyman to stand there and let me punch him up. It just goes against everything that I'd won from the sport. When I turned professional, I had a few options to go, and I'll be honest with the promise on me when I started. I said my first few fights, that they might not be the hardest fights, but what I noticed as well is, because the journeyman knew I was learning as I go anyway, they were seeing me as easy pickings. So I'm taking lads that have got records of 7 losses that are needing a win, and they're turning up to try and knock me head off. And then the week after or the week before, they're going out with another rival of mine or whatever in the rankings, and they're just walking around with him. And I'm going, what am I doing wrong here? Like, I can't pay him to just turn up. I can't. Do you know what I mean? So to me, straight early on, I just knew with the backing I've got and the sponsors and stuff, I need to be credible at what I'm doing. And even now, like I said, Hull other day, 150 people would have come to that if they allowed it.
Yeah, nah. It's a strange one, mate.
Let's be honest,
sell tickets. I don't get that.
Let's be really honest then, knowing what we know now though. You imagine 150 of my supporters who are my friends, who have invested in me and want me to do well. So a scorecard the other night are 80-72. What would have happened?
Well, there wouldn't have been a scorecard of 80-72 because the referee would have taken into consideration what he was hearing from the crowd. Possibly that, but I'd like to think a bit more genuine. I just think, well, I know what happened when I took 20 to Oldham. That's all I'm saying. So I feel like my fans have seen me. They watched Nathan Jr. absolutely KO me on my feet. I was gone. I had 200 people sat there, paid to watch me win my first 6-rounder, and Nathan Jr.'s upset it. Knocked me out on my feet. My mistake. His advantage. My fans all clapped him. Well done. He got home. You know what I mean? So it's like I know what I'm doing is right. My supporters are right. Everything's right. So I just want to keep it that way. So the next time I fight in Sheffield will be on my terms for my supporters with a deal that suits us all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Thing is,
it's interesting looking at your record. I've got it all written down, mate. It's interesting looking at your record, how you've increased the amount of fights you've had each year.
So, well, COVID didn't help. Didn't help, did it?
I get that. So obviously, 2019 was your pro debut.
Yeah.
You had 2 fights in 2020, 2 in 2021, 3 in 22, and then 5 so far this year. But you got 2 more potentially pending. So looks like 7 fights this year.
Yeah, could do with squeezing 8 in. That's an odd number, that, isn't it? So,
do you know what happens next year, Perry?
I do even more, mate. I want at least 2 a month. That'll be 24 in the year. That'd be nice.
You're just in love with the sport at the end of the day, aren't you?
I do. I love the sport, and this is why I don't get held up on the result. Like I say, I'm a bit peeved about Saturday, but in the big scheme of things, this is what I believe to be true. I'm sure Sonny Taylor's had a 28-day layoff. He can't box. He's got cuts. He's resting his wounds. He's obviously going to go back to the drawing board. He's going to have to resell tickets. He's going to have to do what he's doing. Next Saturday, me, Daz, and Rob and Gaz, we get to drive down to Wolverhampton and have a scrap and do something I love. Like it's like a little boy's dream. It's a little boy's dream.
New member promise out there.
So with no promise on, mate, even that I'd probably sell 200 tickets for that if they give me time.
New member.
That's it.
New member for Last Spell Boxing. I'm sure he talks more sense than Carl, to be fair.
That's it. But
so,
yeah.
A couple more topics tonight, Perry. I'd like you to stay on and give us your opinions because I know you've got a lot of experience in the sport. You love boxing, and it's always good to get a different view. You know, we've got Daz on the show. He's a trainer, and he gives a really good insight into that side of the sport. And
well, I always joke about this, Andy. I'm going to give me cover story now, not the cover, but me excuses. I talk about this all the time. People like you know a hell of a lot more about boxing than me, and this is the funny thing. I do, because unless they're in the cruiserweight division or there's someone I'm willing to fight, I don't really pay an interest. I'm very self-centered. So out of what's happening around me, you could probably list every fighter's records. This I don't have a clue, mate. I just put my 10 pence with him when I know. Do you know what I mean? Right.
So we're going to talk about the Wasserman Channel 5 show down in Brighton in a little while. I just want to pick up a couple of other topics. First one is the fact that it's been muted that there's going to be 3 judges for potentially 6 and 8 round fights, as well as 10 and 12 round fights. Now, you've just come off an 8-rounder.
Yeah.
Where you've been completely shafted. If you'd have had 3 judges instead of just a referee, it might have been a completely different outcome to that fight.
I might have also got shafted off 3 different judges.
Maybe, mate. Yeah, maybe. But you're getting 3 different viewpoints, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, mate. I've seen it on a number of cards where I think a referee is too close to the action. A referee can't see the blind side, for example. You know, if someone's throwing a shot to a body on the blind side, the referee can't score it because he can't see it. Yeah.
The referee does have quite a hard job, like you say. He's got a lot to think about at that time. So it does make sense that you take the pressure of the scoring off him. So it would make sense. And I think there would be a lot more competitive scorings with 3 judges.
Daz, what's your opinion on the 3 judges for 6 and 8 rounders?
It should happen, but it's not going to. It's all cost, isn't it? I just think that, me and Perry were discussing it tonight in gym. You know, the thing is, you can have the ref on the blind side. Someone can throw a couple of body shots. They get blocked. You reply with a little straight right hand, it lands. Now, it depends on judge's perspective. If that judge thinks that them 2 body shots have landed, you know, he's going to score him, and he's going to score him. So it's an hard job, mate. It is an hard job. It's, you know, sometimes you think, you know, it's a lot that they've got to do. Do you know what I mean? They've got to keep fighters safe. They've got to score it as fairly as it's a lot to do, mate. It's a lot to do. I understand it in 4 rounders, but
at the minute, Daz, we haven't even got 3 judges for Midland area titles.
No. My central area wasn't judges. So I think it was John.
Crazy. That's for a belt.
To be fair, John Latham's score result, when I watched it back, I couldn't really argue with it. I think he got it near enough bang on. So they were like, and I'm honest, Ricky Reeves won that fight, but he gave me two rounds. I could have nicked another one, but he got it closer. Do you know, like so sometimes it's just on the perception on the night. Like I'm not saying all the refs do it on purpose. I think it's just a matter of opinion from what angle they see it. And obviously, if you had more eyes on it, it'd take less of that out. And then And I tell you what I thought. Well, I'm going off subject a bit. What do you think to this one, Daz and Andy? I think scoring should be announced after every round.
I don't know about that one, mate.
You don't like that one?
No, I didn't like it when they brought it in. I think they did it with WBC, announced them after 4 and then after 10. Listen,
well, can I be honest with you, Daz? Do you know if we had it overnight? Do you know after about 5 rounds and I seen Sonny Taylor's name go up, I'd have just said, "Come on, let's go home."
Yeah.
Or it had put the pressure on you to try and get the knockout. Do you know what I mean?
The only thing I'd say, Perry, it made for an exciting last. Say it was an 8-rounder, and the judges had scored it 4 rounds to 1 fighter. It'd make a really exciting last 4 rounds.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
What I would say is, if they'd scored, if a fight scored and the judges have had a real hash, and they've scored it like 4 rounds to 1 fighter, and the crowd turns on them.
Yeah.
Do the judges then think to themselves, "I've got to correct this, even if that other fighter wins the next 4 rounds"? Are they going to get their opponents?
But this is why I think it'd put the pressure on the judging to be right the first time.
There's a lot of pros and cons
There's a lot of pros and cons, but I know for a fact, if I were going into a fight and I know that I'm up 7 rounds out of 8, I'm going to cruise that last round. I know my opponent's got 2 choices. He either concedes and knows I'm winning, or he's got to come for me. And it makes it exciting for the fans. It makes it like me and Daz and Rob, when we were in the corner overnight, they're telling me that they believed I was up. Now, I believed I was up because I'm listening to my team, I'm doing this. If I could see in black and white on a scorecard, well, actually, they've turned me inside out. I've lost every round. I might have picked another gear up, but I didn't want to take unnecessary risks to do something that I'd already thought I'd done. Like Dad said, he didn't want me to overcomplicate my work when we thought we'd done enough.
Yeah.
But if you knew that you had to step it up, maybe you would.
Really interesting, isn't it?
I
get both. I get both perspectives. I hear what Daz is saying, and I definitely hear what you're saying from the fighter's perspective.
It'd have been the same with Nick and Emma Dolan. Obviously, going out for 7th. Obviously, a couple of judges had Nick in an unassailable lead. So if I'd have known that, it'd have been, listen, just go out there and try and stop her.
Yeah.
But
it would change the dynamic of a fight. I think it'd make it quite exciting for the fans. I think it'd get rid of a lot of this waiting till the end and all these shock decisions. And like you said, as the rounds are going on, if one judge is having a stinker and it's out at ball, it's seen by everybody there and then. So everybody's in on the drama, everybody's in on the live update, the fighters. I think it would add a good dynamic to the sport, and it'd keep it quite sincere.
Do you know what they've got to realise? Not the referees personally, because I don't think it's done out of maliciousness or anything. I think it's just the fact that they've got a lot to contend with, and to score a fight while the refereeing is hard, because sometimes they've not got the right angle, the positioning might not be right, and that's through no fault of theirs. It's just what they've got to do. Their main priority is the safety. But what we've got to think as well is these decisions that are being put forward are changing fighters' careers. Listen, Perry's stablemate, our other fighter, Amy Greatorex, she went to Hull and fought Chelsea Arnold, same venue, same promotion, and got hard done to. Again, she should have won that fight. Admittedly, it was a close-ish fight, but Amy did enough. He's gone to then Stoke and fought Becky Ferguson, won that fight for me. And then now Becky Ferguson's fighting for an area title against Sean O'Toole. Chelsea Arnold, she's looking at titles. That could have been Amy. Yeah. He said Amy's had to come and think, I've been up wrong end of a couple of thingies, and that could have been a title shot.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's similar with me, though, Daz, like what we said the other day. My record now says 5-7-1, and I genuinely believe it should say 7-5-1. And then two losses that could have been wins were against undefeated opponents. That would have boosted my stock so high. I'd have been in title contention.
Yeah.
I'd have been there. Do you know what I mean? So it is affecting careers in the long run. The only thing I'm going to say from a humble side from me is I'm back out next week, so I'm not bothered. I can't dwell on it too long. I've just got to go again.
I do put a lot of thing as well on, and the fighters probably don't want hard fights, and then there's also the fact that promoters want to protect their fighters who sell tickets.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got another kid, Perry will tell you, we've got another kid to tender. Absolute nightmare to fight.
Legend of a bloke.
He's turned 2 kids over, 2 undefeated kids in his last 2 fights. No phone's not ringing now.
Yeah,
we've got one with me. Is that with me, Daz, on the 28th?
Yeah,
28th.
He's fighting a 9-0 kid where it were muted. He should have had a Central Area title shot, but no one wants to fight him.
Yeah.
No, these people, these super featherweights in Central Area, don't want to fight him. He deserves it, and they don't want to fight him because he's a nightmare. But listen, you'd rather go and win a Central Area title against a punching bag and call yourself a champion rather than be a champion. There's a difference, big difference. Being a champion, being called a champion, and actually being a champion.
A lot of that, in my opinion, is not the fighter though. It's a lot of that is to do with the promoter and
that's
the people that are around him blowing smoke.
Promoters want to protect him, mate. That's what I mean. Yeah. Listen, you're not protecting anything. All you're doing is you're setting them up for a fall. If you padlock his record to 9, 10, 11-0, right?
Yeah.
Then they're in a real fight. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like a rabbit in headlights. They're going to come.
But this is what's going to happen as my career goes along, Andy. I'm watching what's happening, and like you said, you're 9-0, you're 10-0, you're 11-0. You look at the records; they've not had a 50-50. They look at my record and they go, "Oh well, he's lost all them. He's turning up. He's taking his money." But I'm being honest with people. I'm telling them, I'm not. I'm testing your fighters. Nah. That means I'm coming to have a go. And I think what happens is they get complacent, and it does. I'll be honest with you. The thoughts have gone through my head when I've been on home shows, and you're quizzing. Has he got another fight after mine? Or he'll only want to move around. Like you shouldn't be having to think that like that. Like you shouldn't be working out what mood your opponent's in for how you're going to train for a fight.
Listen. I've just been looking. Roman Fury. He's fighting Bradley Davis. Right, Bradley Davis has already got a fight booked in after that with Jack Bannister.
Yeah, I'm going to message Jack about that because if he gets stopped at Roman Fury one, shall we have round 2 with Jack? You know what I mean?
Listen, Bradley Davis is a good kid as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But the thing is, right? Listen, I'll put it out there now, Andy. So when you put this out, tag him in it. And I'm not speaking out of turn. It's true. If Roman Fury wants to win titles, test yourself.
Can we get the old man from Sheffield? I'm here.
Listen, and I'll tell you what, Perry will sell 200 tickets for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Share for that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it'll be a test.
Now we're talking.
Let's see what you can.
So
do.
now we're talking about the Roman Fury fight. Let's jump onto that card, lads. So in Brighton tomorrow night, there's a Wasserman card on Channel 5.
Mark, guinea pigs the fight.
Headlined by Harlem Eubank with the return also on the card of. Say that again, Perry.
Sorry, mate. I'm in the kitchen. We have guinea pigs, and they're deciding that they're having round 10. So that's there must be all this talk of fighting. It's got testosterone going in them.
So
do you want a quick note before the van? Look at there.
Channel 5. That's better than some fights I see, mate.
I know.
Channel 5 tomorrow night, guys. Harlem Eubank headlining the show. The return of Lerone Richards, who was an outstanding fighter. We'll come on to that in a second. But making his third pro fight is the latest Fury, Roman Fury. Perry's just talked about him. He's in Perry's division. He's going in against Bradley Davies, who's currently sat at 1-5-1. This is obviously a fight you'd love, wouldn't you?
Well, I would, just for the simple fact, I don't personally know Roman or any of the Furies, but obviously I know what comes with the Fury name. I know why Tommy's where he is. And when I turned professional, and I wanted to fight Tommy Fury, and they were an ongoing joke because our lass had seen him on Love Island, said he were a bit of all right. So I used that as a bit of banter, and I was like, hey, I'm not having that, I'm going to fill him in. But I knew the sellability of that fight for me. I knew the credibility of that fight. And I also knew it's a winnable fight. So I've been watching how his career unfolds. And I'll be honest with you, he's sold out, hasn't it? End of the day, he's got his money. Fair play to him. At what point would Tommy Fury come back down to the real world? He's not central area level as far as I'm concerned. At the minute, he's below that. Just because he's got his made up Mickey Mouse belts in Saudi or whatever, that means nothing to me. But as small, he should be on the smaller shows. So what I will give Roman credit for at the minute, at least he's going that way. So if Roman's going to bring some class back to the Fury name and basically do it the right way, I've got total respect for him. But on his way, does he want to step it up, have a proper fight with me before? Do you know what I mean?
Interesting, isn't it, mate? Let's see how he goes. Let's see how he goes tomorrow night, and then see what happens from there.
And obviously, I won't pay him well for it. So come on, Furies, get on it. You know what I mean?
You never know, mate. I mean, if I'm assuming being on this card, he must be signed to Wasserman. So the likelihood is, if you did get a fight against him, you might end up on a Channel 5 show.
Possibly so. And I'd like something in the contract that if I beat Roman, then Tommy's got to fight me as well. I've been chasing that fight for ages.
More chance of getting a fight with Dad than Tommy.
I think anyone can fight Dad, can't they? No, end of the day,
sorry, just
I always try and take my personal gains out of it and look at it from a business point of view. And I do think there is something in that fight for them. End of the day, if Roman Fury goes in with me, and they look at the record, they'll go, right, they've shared two at same opponents. They've both beat them. Perry's gone on to have 50-50 wars, let's be honest. The decisions haven't gone my way. But if Roman thinks he's going to play with the big boys in the top 10, why don't we go and have a go with Perry first? I think that's a credible fight, that.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I completely agree. It'd be interesting to see how that panned out.
Yeah. So.
Just a little hello in the sidebar for Lil Penny, all the way from New Zealand. How are you, pal? Good to hear from you. We're talking about the Channel 5 card, Lil Penny, that's happening at the weekend, actually tomorrow night. So a couple of fights on the undercard, Daz. I want you to give your opinion on. Ebony Jones currently sat at 4-0-1.
It's off, mate. The fight's
off.
That
fight's off, is it?
Yeah, that's off, mate. Yeah.
Okay, moving
moving
swiftly on. I wasn't aware of that.
No, there was an issue with the opponent getting into the country.
Right. Okay.
Shame really, because Ebony's a talented girl. Really,
that's disappointing, mate. Hopefully, she gets back out soon. So moving swiftly on then to a fighter that I think has got unbelievable talent, but for some reason hardly ever fights, and that's Lerone Richards. I know he's had a bit of injury. Real talent in the super middleweight division, currently sat at 17-0. He's going in against Mickey Ellison, 14-5. I think this kid's serious talent, but for whatever reason, he don't seem to have pushed on. Can you put your finger on Perry? I'm sure you've seen Lerone Richards fight. Can you put your finger on why he's not moved on to that next level?
I'm unsure. Can I just check, Andy? Well, I've got you as well. Can you all see me?
I can see you, mate. You froze though, but I can hear you. So carry on talking.
Right, not a problem, mate. It's just I've since I've lost tech issues with you. I was just putting my phone on charge and it's messed me about. So sorry, repeat, Andy, because I'm all on now. Go on.
All right. So just talking about Lerone Richards, obviously super middleweight. serious talent, but for whatever reason, he seems to have not pushed on to that next level. He very rarely fights at the minute. I know he's had injuries and stuff, but why do you think the reason is? What do you think the reason is that he's not pushed on to that next level?
I don't know, because like I say, I've not got up to that level.
Looks like Perry's dropped out. Daz, do you want to pick that up?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's part of it. He's in the Who Needs Him club as well. You know, he's a very good fighter, and I think people don't want to fight him if they don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, he's a very good fighter, Larone. Very good. And I think, you know, people are probably they'd rather take an easier route.
Was he IBO champion at one point, super middleweight?
Yeah, I believe he was, mate. Yeah, I believe he was.
I thought, you know, when he won that title, as I know on this channel we kind of dismissed that title a little bit, but I thought that might have been a stepping stone for him to push onto a bigger belt.
He should be, mate.
There's some good fighters in that division he could have got in with.
Yeah,
and it's just not happened for him. And I don't really understand why.
No, I don't myself, mate, to be fair. You know, I rate Lerone Richards highly. I think he's a very, very good fighter. And I think his career's got a bit stagnated sort of thing. But, you know, having signing this deal, I think, you know, hopefully he'll push on and get some exposure, what he deserves. But I can't believe that he's not been signed by Eddie Hearn, you know, someone like that, to be fair.
It's strange, isn't it, mate? I mean, obviously, you don't know what's going on in the background. I'm amazed with his talent, he's not been picked up by one of the three big promoters.
Yeah.
I don't really understand it. Let's see how he looks, mate. Let's see how he looks tomorrow night. And maybe off the back of that, I mean, I can't imagine he's signed a massively long deal with Wasserman. It might be a 3-fight, might be a 1-fight. You never know.
Yeah.
I've not heard. Have you heard anything about how long the
No, mate, I haven't. I presume it might be more than one, though. I presume it might be a 3-fight.
Right.
Something like that. I'm not 100% sure, though. But I presume it would be something like that.
Yeah, it's real strange. I can't put my finger on it because I think he's a serious talent.
Yeah, anyway, he is, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, Daz, moving on to the headliner. There's been a lot in media in the past few days surrounding Eubank, but not really surrounding Harlem, funnily enough. Surrounding Chris Senior and his comments and interviews that he's been doing. He's now in the Harlem Eubank camp, but he's talking, you know, saying Harlem really should be fighting Conor Benn before Chris fights Conor Benn and things like that. Crazy, kind of crazy talk. I mean, Harlem Eubank's a super lightweight.
He's a lightweight, you know, super lightweight, yeah. So,
I mean, this fight is fighting Timo Schwarzkopf, who's currently sat at 22-5. This is for the WBO Global lightweight title, whatever that means. We talked about ABC belts, and maybe this is going to give him some ranking points. I like Harlem Eubank. I think he's had it a little bit difficult. He's lived in Chris Eubank Jr.'s shadow for quite some time, but he seems to be getting a little bit of sparkle now. I'm not sure the right move is to get Senior involved, though. How do you feel about that?
No, definitely not. I think Senior's got some issues he needs to resolve before he's involved in boxing. Listen, I was a massive fan of Chris Senior as well.
Yeah.
But I think he's it's quite alarming, some of the things that he's saying. He's like slagging Chris Jr. off, and it's quite alarming to see. He's lost a son, obviously, Sebastian, bless him. I don't know, mate. It's a bit of a fractured family, I think. It's not nice to see. I mean, Arlen, I'm not overly sold on Arlen. He seems like a really nice guy. Seems like a really nice geezer. But I don't think he lives with as him or Dalton Smith. I mean, to me, a good fight for him maybe would have been Sam Maxwell.
Yeah, good chat.
You know, let's have a bit of a, you know, let him, because he talks about Dalton Smith and Adam as him. So, you know, let's see, you know, the incentive is there to try and do a better job on Sam Maxwell than Dalton did. But on that performance that Sam put up, Sam probably, you know, has a chance of turning him over. I don't know, mate. It's a funny situation. It's a funny situation with them. They just. Oh, Perry needs letting in. Can someone let him in?
Carl needs to do that. I don't know if Carl's actually watching in the background.
He's
Bit of a
backstage.
strange dynamic on the show tonight. Carl's got control and he's not on the show. Unfortunately, he's doing other things, so he might not hear what we're saying. If he does, I'm sure he'll let Perry back in. Apologies for that, Perry, but we'll try and get you back in as soon as we can, mate. A couple of comments in the sidebar from Lil Penny. We'll come on to the PBC comment in a minute, Lil Penny, but I'll pick up your two Harlem Eubank comments. So he's put, is Harlem Eubank any good? Will Harlem be better than Junior? Daz?
Sorry, mate. I've just sent Carl a text. See if he sees it. No, I don't think he will. I'm like I say, no, he's a decent fighter, but I'm not overly sold on him, if I'm honest.
I quite like him, mate. I'll be completely honest with you. I do. I think he's got talent. Where that talent can go, though, I'm not quite sure at the minute. He's had a couple of tests as well, where he's been in difficult situations and come through them. So I think the grit's there. I just think he's not been put in the limelight, and now he's going to be. No matter what you think of Senior, and I agree with you, I think he's got issues outside of boxing that he needs to deal with before he gets back involved and put under the pressure that is going to come with being in the spotlight again. No matter what you say, it's going to bring focus onto Harlem. And maybe that will get Harlem the fights that he's not been getting recently. I know it's a strange way of going about it, but that might just be the way it works. But like I say, I like Harlem. You know, he seems like a real nice kid. He comes across really well in interviews and like I say, can fight. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it pans out from here for him. I mean, he's going to come through this fight. There's no two ways about that. But then what happens from there, you know, would Wasserman be happy to put him on a matchroom show, for example? You know, would they back him to fight a Dalton or like, you know, a Sam Maxwell or someone like that? You know, are they going to back him in that situation? They need to if they want him to move on. So really interesting for me, mate. I'd like to see how it pans out. So before we go off here, mate, there's a couple more topics that I know you brought up to me earlier on that we could talk about. Firstly, Florian Marcoux has apparently called out Josh Taylor.
Apparently, they've made an offer.
Florian Marcoux's team?
Yeah, made an offer to Josh Taylor, yeah, apparently.
Okay, so firstly, what's your instant reaction to that? And if the fight was to happen, what happens?
I'll be honest, mate. I think Florian's a lot better than what people give him credit for. I know he's not had as many fights, but I think he's an handful, mate. I do think he's an handful.
Is he still at Steel City?
Yes, mate, he is. Yeah, I believe so. You know, listen, I like him, me. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are proper turned off by him, and want to see him move. I like him. I think he's quite refreshing. I think he's quite like no nonsense. If you turn up and you're respectful to him, I think he's same back. I think if you're disrespectful to him, he'll happily get gloves off and go out in car park with you. Do you know what I mean? I think he's a fighter. But he seems like a really nice kid, to be fair. Just no nonsense. And what you see is what you get with him. And I'll be honest with you, mate. I'm a fan of Josh Taylor as well, to be fair, but Josh isn't the most fan friendly, is he, at times?
He comes out with some things on social media, does Josh Taylor?
Yeah.
I'm like you, mate. I'm like you. I've been a massive fan of Josh Taylor for years. I was banging on about Josh Taylor to Cole for a long time before he was winning major titles, and he's done wonders, in my opinion. He hasn't covered himself in glory in the last few fights, mate. The Jack Catterall thing was tough.
Yeah. The thing is, though, mate, right? Look at it from you see how we're thinking about it other day. And I thought, I had Catterall winning that fight.
Yeah.
And then he fights Teofimo Lopez. And Lopez, mate, listen, I've said for God knows how long, watching Teofimo Lopez as a fledgling pro, he's a bit special, him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But then he let himself down with the Cambosos fight. Now, what if Lopez? Because a lot of people seem to be saying, "Oh yeah, Taylor's finished. He got battered off. He should have lost to Catterall. Got battered off Lopez." I don't think there's any shame in losing to Teofimo Lopez, because what would have happened had Teofimo Lopez done what he was supposed to against Cambosos and blitzed him? He'd have been undefeated. Yeah. He's back. He'd have been undefeated, and people would have been saying, "Yeah, special fighter is Lopez," but because of the performance Lopez put in against Cambosos, people was, Lopez isn't as good as what we thought. But he is. I think he's going to take an hell of a fighter to beat Teofimo Lopez.
The problem you've got with Teofimo Lopez, Daz, is
I've just ran upstairs. I says to our lass, I've talked about me. They're talking boxing. I've just cut them off while we're like blooming up.
Yeah. The problem you got with Teofimo Lopez, Daz, is he allows outside interferences to affect what he's doing, and mainly that's his old man.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've seen it numerous times in interviews where Teofimo Lopez is doing an interview and he's coming across really, really positively, and his old man walks in the room and he changes, and all of a sudden it becomes this like I don't know, alter ego, really, and yeah, it's a very strange thing, and I just got the impression that before the Josh Taylor fight, Teofimo Lopez, something switched in his head, and he told his dad off a few times for some of the things he was saying and doing, and it's like he become his own man overnight. I'm hoping that's the way it stays, because I agree with you. I think Teofimo's a real talent, and there's no shame in Josh Taylor losing to him. There's no shame in Josh Taylor losing to Jack Catterall. For people to say that he's completely finished, I think is crazy. He's moved.
That's the problem with the fickle fans again, though, isn't it? This is what I mean. Like they think if a fighter gets a loss, that's it. The career should be over and stuff. It's like that's it's not realistic expectations, is it? And like you said, that the padded records has helped inflate this. The lads are going to lose fights. It's how they improve from them, they come back. That's what the story should be. It shouldn't be, they're undefeated, they beat everyone. But they haven't beat everyone because 25 of them have not turned up to have a go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, dead right, mate. I mean, Josh Taylor's now moved to the Rotunda in Liverpool, renowned gym, had multiple world champions in amateurs, multiple world champions in the pros. He looks quite settled, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. I'm hoping the Jack Catterall fight comes off.
Yeah, it would be good with one that I'd like to see that.
It's got to happen.
I mean, Perry, what do you think happens in the rematch? Does Jack Catterall do the same thing, or do you think Josh Taylor works him out next time?
I don't know, because it's an odd one. See, like you said, I try and put myself in. I don't do the all. Who's the better boxer? That a lot of it is what mood are they in? How they feeling going in? It's I know whether it's sparring or fighting. You can have a bad camp and then you have a good fight, or you can have a good camp and a really bad fight. And there's just you just never know, do you? If it's a genuine 50-50 fight, a lot of it can come down to something that might have just been said in change room 10 minutes before. And they're the good fights, because like you say, I call it like that fight. It could go either way, depending on the lead up and the execution on the night. You know what I mean? And that's why they're entertaining fights.
I'll tell you what, the lead up to that will be spicy as anything.
Oh, definitely. And it'll help sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, it's rightly so.
SWS boxing.
Hey, is that Sam?
So he's put my bro Perry. Let's have a bit more information. Is it?
Sam's a legend. Do you know what? He's going to be taking your job when he's older.
Is he really? Okay.
Yeah. So Sam does SWS boxing. I think he's got a page on Instagram.
Is that the young lad? Is that the
Yeah. You sound like I'm going on to speak to Sam on Sunday as well. So.
Nice.
But I help him out, and he's a top lad, a proper Promise Army fan, Sam. So, all right, mate, I can't see you, but hope you're well, pal.
Oh, great stuff. Little bit of a shout out for SWS Boxing on the channel.
Go on.
We'll get you on the show at some point, fella.
Yeah, that's it. You got him on. Good lad.
As we were just talking about Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor, there's rumours also that Jack Catterall may be fighting Tank Davis at some point in the near future.
Yeah, he's mentioned it. He's mentioned it.
Yeah, it's been muted. So obviously Jack Catterall's prime focus is Josh Taylor. He's been saying it for such a long time now. I feel for the kid, I really do, because and I personally don't blame Josh Taylor for what went off there. I know that he handled it a little bit bad, but it's difficult as a fighter. You're in a fight, you're getting punched for 12 rounds, and then you get a camera shoved in your face in the ring 3 seconds later. What are you going to say? You're not going to turn around and say, oh, yeah, the opponent won that fight easy. Oh, yeah. You're going to say, no, I thought I did enough.
It's hard, isn't it?
He got slated for it, didn't he? And so I feel a bit for him. But there's been a lot of bad blood between the two of them on social media since. A lot of stuff has been said that shouldn't have been said. And I feel for Jack Catterall, because he was stolen of his glory. He should have been an undisputed world champion, and that never happened. And now those belts have been split. That's never going to happen for him again. It's very unlikely. So he's now having to rebuild when he should be getting the massive bucks now. Perry, he should be getting the massive paydays, being undisputed champion, and that's not happening for him.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Like you said, this is how cruel the sport can be sometimes. So, it like you said, I agree with you on that. And it's obviously, from his point of view, I look at him as a family man or whatever he's doing, and he's been robbed of them opportunities, like you say. And it's very cutthroat, isn't it? So
interesting. Comment at the sidebar from Lil Penny. Lil Penny says Tank Davis will not take that fight. Oh, sorry, not take that risk. As what do you think to that? Do you think Tank could not take that fight against Catterall?
Mate,
I think Tank wants for him, to be fair, but
yeah. The other one, go to the comment above. That's an interesting one.
I can't see comments. So,
Okay, comment above from Lil Penny again. Mayweather ruined boxing due to his cherry picking and ducking. Ducking? Ducking strategies. He took the path of least resistance, and his legacy is now paying for it. Wow.
I don't think we can really accuse Mayweather of ducking, to be fair. I mean, yeah, I mean, him and Pacquiao happened at the wrong time, I think.
5 years too late.
Yeah,
that fight, definitely.
Yeah, however, Manny Pacquiao won a world title after
He
the
did
Mayweather loss.
indeed.
So he weren't exactly shot.
I think Lil Penny's going a little bit over the top there.
Yeah,
I understand what he's saying, because you can argue that a couple of the fighters that he went in with he maybe picked them at the right time, but they were still world level fighters. We're talking.
I mean, look at his record, mate. You don't have to look at
crazy,
his record, and it's like, I mean, did he have to fight Canelo? You know, he jumped. You know, listen, Mayweather. You know, Mayweather will he turned pro as a featherweight, super featherweight.
Yeah, crazy.
And then he's ended up giving an absolute lesson to, you know, listen, Canelo wasn't the fighter then he is now, but he was still bloody good.
Yeah.
And he was strong, youthful, you know, undefeated. And Mayweather just gave him a lesson. Arguably, Mayweather made Canelo what he is today.
Oh yeah, there's that side of it, isn't there?
Yeah, you can argue that. Let's jump back to the Catterall Tank Davis, because Perry made an interesting point. He thinks that Tank Davis walks through Jack Catterall. How do you see it, Daz?
Just personal opinion, no against any of them. I just think that's obviously as a fan. That's nothing to do with it. That's just as a fan of watching both. I think Tank does that one. So
yeah, you've got to say that Tank is, you know, it. I don't so much think he'd walk through him. I think he'd just set him up like he does. He sets traps, doesn't he? Might take a little bit longer for Catterall to fall into them traps than
I've got a completely different aspect to you guys. I don't think Catterall falls into any of the traps because he's not that type of fighter.
That's what I mean.
He's a very defensive fighter, and only picks the odd opportunity to come forward. Now, Tank thrives on fighters coming at him. He thrives on making traps, and he thrives on countering fighters. He ain't going to get that type of fighter if he fights Jack Catterall. It's going to be a very.
You think it'd be a bit of a chess match then? Bit of a chess match then.
And that makes it very close for me.
Yeah, you see, to me, Tank could be one of them where he'd front foot him, but he'd do plenty of feints to make Catterall counter, but he'd be countering the feint, and then that's when Tank could, you know, so Tank could probably come forward, but instead of throw it, he'd probably come off a jab, a double jab, feint a right hand, let Catterall move, and then try and counter. Then basically you counter the counter. Do you know what I mean?
I hear what you see.
It's a bit of a, you know, it's high tech.
It'd be an interesting fight, wouldn't it? So that's the thing. If it's getting people talking, that they are the fights you want to see. So
yeah, it's an high tech strategy, but I also think that, and this could play into Catterall's hands. To be fair, Tank could probably think that Catterall can't hurt me. He'd probably think he's not a puncher, he can't hurt me. So, you know, there is that thing where they can fall into the trap of, right, I'll just walk through him. And you could be chasing shadows all night. But I think Tank's a bit too good for that, to fall into that. You know, his training team's a bit too, you know, knowledgeable for that. I think the way to beat for him to beat Catterall.
I actually think he could walk through him. Perry's right. He could walk through him, but I think Catterall's a little bit too cute. I think he might frustrate Tank and make Tank make the sort of mistakes you don't normally make. It'd be interesting to see for certain. One last topic, guys. One last topic before we go. I mean, unless Perry's got anything he wants to bring up, so we'll just talk about this and then we'll leave it open to Perry and anyone in the sidebar. If you've got anything else you want to talk about before we go off air, just shout up and we'll bring the topics up. So one more, and that is the team up of GBM Sport and Talk Sport. So for the last show that GBM did, which was Hopewell Dolan headlining for the Commonwealth title, that was streamed by Talk Sport.
I did that.
And now apparently they've made it official.
How did that fight go?
They've made it not quite the way you wanted it to, guys. It went.
I went to that fight. I watched that fight. It was good. It was a good setup. But I went. Obviously, I went to support Nicola, and I also went on a bit of a business motive myself to go and check out the venue, see what's what. 'Cause there's a few eyes on the prizes down there for me. There's a Mr. Sheldon McDonald I want to keep my eyes on. There's a potential fight here. I like Izzy. Izzy's a good bloke. I think he's doing well with the promoting. The team up's fantastic. The new venue's good location, good setup. There's a lot of positives. There were a few cons which I won't tarnish on here, but from a business point of view, I was looking. From a boxing show point of view, it was spot on. But if I always go to an event going, if I was fighting on here, I'd look at the setup and the layout, and there's a few things I'd change. But the whole thing's good, and I think it's good for sport in general, and it's good for Sheffield sport as well. So what Izzy's doing is pretty good. I can't knock him.
Yeah, absolutely, Perry. I mean, that was the first show at that venue as well.
Yeah.
So they'll learn lessons from that show, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sort the bar out. You've got to sort the bar out.
Yeah. That was a lot of. I heard a lot of people talking about that. Like I say, teething issues.
Teething issues. That's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a really good venue for boxing, and I think if they get it right, it'll be bang on, and they can use that venue a hell of a lot going forward. The real big positive for me is this partnership they've got now with Talk Sport. Talk Sport are massive, as you know, and I think GBM are massive. They're not your typical small all are they, Perry? I mean, if you walked into that venue, you'd think you was at a boxer or matchroom show.
Well, yeah, this is what I'll give his credit for. I've been to a few of his shows now because obviously I've got friends boxing on them, and I go down in local interest anyway. And the promotion side, the way the fighters get the videos before the promo, he's got it nailed on. You can tell what he's doing as a promoter is pretty good. And now this team up with Talk Sport, it's definitely a move in the right direction, isn't it? So it's all going to progress from there. And it's quite good to see because, like you say, I've never boxed on his shows. I've been to a few. The potentials of me boxing on his shows. I am like one of the biggest ticket sellers in Sheffield, so they all want a piece of me, don't they? And do you know what I mean? So I do keep floating things about, but it'd have to be on my terms. That venue, I'd have no dramas selling it. And for all fighters coming through, it's a good location. It's a good setup. So I think he's onto something there. So regularity of the shows and cards not falling apart. That's what small old shows need as well. So we need to just get them matched up right, don't we? Get them sorted and get on with it. What I'm sick of doing and what I'm getting the feedback of the fans is it's even odd when I'm not on a show to say to my pals, do you want to come to see me, pal? Because by the time the show comes, 6 at fights have dropped or whatever, do you know? So, but Izzy's quite consistent. He does seem to have a bill on and it's there all the time. So.
Yeah, I've noticed that, mate. You don't often get fights fall through. I've been to a number of his shows now for our channel, and always looked after really, really well. You know, they sort out a very good area for you know, personally, they sort out a very good area for media. Fighters get brought to you. You know, you're not struggling to get hold of interviews if you want them. Really, I'm really impressed with what GBM brings to the table. And I'll say it right now on this channel, they will end up with a TV deal at some point in the near future.
Yeah, they should do as well.
Yeah, they should. And what I like to hear about that is then for me, that also means there's a lot of Sheffield fighters that will get that exposure as well. So
yeah,
maybe the next generation of lads coming through Riley's and the other gyms, that's going to be their platform. So it's good for the sport. That's what I want to see, the investment in the future now. Obviously, I know I'm 33, I've still got my bit to do, but I don't want to see this sport die. And I'm at a crossroads now where it goes. And it's so difficult on the business side for the promoters. It's so difficult for the fighters, and it's difficult for the fans because the fans are saying, well, I can go to this and only pay this, and I can watch it on a dodgy box, and I can do this. But the fact is, these kids coming through who have worked their lives for that moment, they need a place to basically showcase what they're doing.
Well, look who we've got, Pez, coming through at our gym alone.
Mate, it gives me a little tingle. Like, I think sometimes when I walk in gym, and like I seen you with Ahmed tonight, and I was like, this is what it's about. Like you say, another 5 years, that's him up there, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And if they stick at it and stuff, but like we said, we've had us rants tonight. I've had my rants about the negative side of stuff. I want to be able to push the positives to people. Do you know what I mean? I want to be able to say, look, there's a future for you in this sport. I don't want to be saying to them, look, you can train your life off till you're 20 years old, be a national champion, and then you're not going to go anywhere because you can't sell tickets. Or I want everybody to have a fair crack at the whip. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard, isn't it? So, but I do worry about the sport going forward. But this with Izzy for locality Sheffield as well, I think he's going to do well with it. And I'll be not only intrigued, but I'll be a big supporter on to see where it does go.
We've like Perry's just said, we've got some fighters coming through, some kids in that gym who listen. First time I saw Ahmed train, I went out to do it. I just took Nick down to spar Amy, and I watched him, and I was like, he's a bit, yeah. And I've obviously done quite a bit of work with him, and. Yeah, that kid's gonna listen. I'll put it out there. That kid's gonna be a world champion. He's got the lot. He has got the lot. And
no pressure on him, Dad. No pressure on him.
There's others as well. Little Z.
Yeah.
Little Z. I mean, Little Z's only 14. Yeah. You know, he can achieve what he wants to achieve. You've got Riley. He's quality. Elliot's quality.
Elliot's good. Yeah.
Jack. Jack Mason, he's quality. You know, we've got a lot. Do you know what? It's brilliant to just go in and do you know what we've also got as well? We've got a kid in there called Reese, and he can't box himself because he's got a perforated eardrum. There's something wrong with his eardrum, so he can't box himself. Competitively. So he's in there taking people on pads. He wants to be a coach. Do you know what I mean? And I've got to give him a bit of a shot. I've got to give him a bit of a. He's only a young kid. I think he's 19, something like that. And he's like a proper student of it. And I've got to give him a shout out as well because I did a couple of rounds sparring with him last Friday, and he broke my nose.
Did he get step ladder out?
Yeah, he first like 20 seconds of sparring, he hit me and it nose, and I thought, I realise I don't miss this.
I've not sparred with Daz Andy. I've not sparred with him, but do you know when he took me on pads the other day, and I thought to myself, you would be my worst opponent ever. Like, he's just so dangly, so tall, he's strong, he jabs, he can move a bit. And if he were past his cell by day, I wouldn't want to touch him.
Mate, I'm way past his cell. I'm way past my cell. But mate, I'll be honest with you. and listen, I'm not for 1 minute saying that I was as good as him at it, but the way Tyson Fury boxes is how I used to box. I did it. I like to say I was the first white heavyweight with rhythm. That's how I say it. But no, it's good to see all the young uns coming through. Especially the young uns who like Reese, and he'll make a great coach as well. He will make he's a sponge. So, but I have actually said to him, I think you need to explore this ear issue, see if there's anything that can be done, because he's a talented kid. It was a case. I knew my mind knew what I needed to do, but my body weren't following. But yeah, listen, it's great to see, and you've obviously got other gyms in Sheffield, but just obviously we see what's coming through at Riley's, and it's exciting. And Ahmed, I'll give him a shout. He's boxing in quarterfinals at Nationals on Saturday.
It's semi-finals after that.
Yeah, he just beat a kid who had 54 bouts and won 14, was like an elite champion. And Ahmed, stood him on his head, really.
Wow.
Lost. This is the caliber of Ahmed. He lost the first round. He come back, and Lee in the corner said to him, listen, you've lost the first round. So a lot of people at amateur level, that would be a proper downer, because they think, I've lost that one. I've only got these two. He's gone at me, and he's absolutely made a mess of the kid, broke his nose, cut him, and just dominated him and won on a split.
Yeah, he's got star quality as well, because when you speak to Ahmed, he's one of those pleasant, he's respectful, he's a very nice bloke, do you know what I mean? And he's gonna be a gentleman. And the thing is, they're the lads that I look at and I go, yeah, that's who you want in the sport, do you know?
Yeah, definitely. He's and listen, you can say it about them all. You can watch all the amateur lads, and there's a couple of young lasses who have started as well at the gym, and you can see potential in them. And they look up to Nick, and they think, oh, I'd like to do that, and stuff. Listen, Riley's going to produce some proper quality.
Yeah, what Rob and Gaz and Nardaz, obviously, and everybody who's had a part in it have done with that gym is phenomenal. And like, I looked for, even in the short time I've been there, I was obviously I'd had one pro fight. I'm 13 deep. I think I'm probably I've been out the most in the gym. But obviously we've got Tom, we've got Amy, we've got Nicola, we've got a stable of fighters now, and it's quite nice. Obviously Tendy's out with me. We've got them all out, haven't we, Daz? And then you've got us pros doing what we're doing, and then you've got the amateurs that are out on a weekly basis, running up and down the country, taking them lads everywhere. What the gym's doing is phenomenal, do you know? And in between all this, he's managed to move premises and that. So big shout out to Rob as well, innit, it does.
Yeah, massive, mate. We've got like the amateur guys, Diane, Lee, and Mick, and obviously Pat's getting his badges.
Yeah.
And Reese, he's going to be getting his. Listen, there's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
And every angle's covered almost.
Yeah.
Ultimately, sometimes, like Perry alluded to earlier, it all matters. I mean, like I go back to the case with Nick. We had a fantastic camp, fantastic sparring, but it just didn't come together in that 20 minutes under the lights. And that happens. It happens. It's happened to the greatest in history. But as a team, we always make sure we always go in there fully prepared, and that's all you can ever do. So,
absolutely.
There's some good, some exciting fighters and prospects coming out of that gym.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've been down there a few times now and interviewed a load of the guys down there. There's a real good family atmosphere. Everyone backs each other. Everyone helps each other out. You've got, the likes of someone will jump out that just had a spar, and they'll be tying the gloves of the next person that's going to be going in spar next in this. It's just really, it's really friendly. It's very welcoming, and you can see like young kids will come in, and they'll come with the parents, and they'll just be looking round to see what's going on, and you can see the glint in their eye. They're going to be the next. That's going to be the next generation coming through.
Do you know what was good tonight? Perry was sparring Adam tonight, and obviously Gary, again, Adam is drinking, again Perry is drinking. And Gary's lad, Ben, was sat in other ring on corner, and he's like this, just watching him, took it all in. Now, whether Ben likes his football, so whether Ben wants to box or not, you don't know. But just the fact that, he's taking it in, and other kids that were there, were like looking and watching. And
I do notice that. That's like when we spar, especially at them times, it got late on tonight, and all amateurs are training and newbies. And when we started gloving up, you could see the kids looking at each other to say, like, there's going to be some action here. And they do. They stop to watch it. But obviously, me and Adam are pros doing what we're doing, and we're just training and that. But that's what they're aspiring to do. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So it's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's great to have that. And it's a lot of gyms you'll get the amateurs will train at a completely different time to the pros. So you don't get that mixture. Whereas Riley's, I don't know. I'm not there all the time, but the times I've been, you've got a bit of mixture of amateurs and pros at the same time. So the amateurs are looking up to the pros at all times. You can see it. They're looking over to see what's going on. Oh, what's he doing? Can I copy that kind of thing? I just think it's a real good setup. Looking from the outside in, I think it's a real good setup, and I can see some real talent and some good things coming from.
I would recommend anyone in Sheffield who's like boxing or in between gyms and looking for a gym to come and check us out, for the simple fact, I'm a real lad. I'm a working class lad. I go to work. I do what I'm doing. I can walk in that gym at any time in the day between 6:30 and 9 o'clock at night, and I will get either Daz, Gaz, Rob training me. I have that obviously as a professional, and as an amateur, there's plenty of trainers there, and that you don't just get left to your devices. It's not a gym where we're on about tech, use your money. There's someone there all the time to guide you in the right direction. So it is a good place, and I would recommend anyone to come down.
1,000,000%.
You know what, Perry? I think that is an absolutely perfect way to bring the show to an end tonight.
Good stuff.
It's been great having you on, pal. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. I've just been listening to my guinea pigs fighting for the past 10 minutes.
At some point in the future, mate, we'll be back down the gym. Myself and Carl will be down the gym to see what's going on, see how things are progressing.
You never know. I might have Roman Fury fight news for you.
Listen, let's game tagged in this post, Andy. Let's game tagged in this post. Let's game tagged.
Absolutely, mate.
Perry,
I'll put once the live goes out. Once the live goes out, mate, I'll definitely put it out there. Tag him to it.
That's it. Let's see if I can be a man of the promise and get 24 fights in by this time next year.
Oh, hang on. Here we are. You've got a question, Perry.
You are?
Anyway.
You've got a question.
Go on.
Go on, Andy, read it.
Is it going to work, man?
Penny, he said, Perry, what kind of trainer is Daz?
Oh, what kind of trainer is Daz? Well, the brownie points one is to say a good one, isn't it? But, do you know what? I like Daz. I've got a lot of time for Daz. Obviously, we're not just trainers, we're friends as well. And the fact is, Daz has been... How many fights have been with me now? Is it 3? Trying to think. Because you've been learning... Well, yeah, so 5.
Yeah,
5, yeah. See, this is what I mean. This is how long we've known each other now. I don't really count it. He's there. So, obviously, we're there at my debut, which I weren't happy about, but it is what it is. And then, since I've known Daz through the gym as well, it's just like he's never not been there. So, it's family. That's what it is. We're all family. So, he's travelling up and he gives his weekends up. And obviously his missus must love me, but I bet I see more of you on a weekend than your missus at minute, don't I?
Listen, she can't. She'll not say because I've got more photos of Tetendi on my phone than I have my missus.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it.
After every training session, Tetendi, take a photo, bro. Take a photo.
But yeah, as trainer's good, Daz is good. Obviously, he's come to us. Nicholas come to us, and the dynamic Daz brings now. Like you said, we've always got someone there, and the thing is, you trust what they're saying. Like if I'll tell people how it is, mate. If Daz absolutely we're talking Bobo, I'd say you're talking Bobo, but he doesn't. He knows what he's on about. He looks at it from all angles. He doesn't. Do you know what I mean? So. Brings a different dynamic, like between Rob, Garrett, and Daz. They're all similar, but they're all different as well.
Yeah.
So it's what you need, that variation. So, but I'll tell you the truth. Andy, I'll tell you the truth when he's not here.
I'll give you a call after the show, mate.
That's it.
Anyway, Lil Penny. I'm trying to close the show out. Stop asking questions.
That's it. Well done, Lil Penny.
It's been great having, like I was saying, Perry. It's been great having you on, pal.
Thanks
we'll
for
do
having
this
me.
more often when you've got a bit of free time, because you've got a lot to say about boxing, which is what this show's all about. It creates opinions and it creates topic. Daz, it's been great having you on as always, mate. Lil Penny, everyone else in the sidebar, SW Boxing.
Well done, Sam. I'll speak to you soon.
Boxing. Thanks for joining as well. We do this show normally at 7 o'clock every single Thursday. We had a few technical issues this time round, but we'll be back to normal next week. 7 o'clock Thursday. We talk about everything boxing. We have different people on all the time, just like Perry's been on tonight. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
See you later, boys.
See you later, everyone.